morning. It's August 23rd, 2025, and we're here with Ken Taliaferro, who is graciously going to receive the honor of Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame inductee for his father, Tex Taliaferro. Ken, for the record, could you tell us Tex's full name, place of birth, and date of birth?
Is Charles Dallas Taliaferro. He was born on Wolf Creek in the Texas Panhandle on his dad's ranch, and that's close to Booker, if anybody wants to look that up. And he was born in 1911.
1911.
February 2nd, 1911.
And tell us a little bit about your dad's family. They were ranchers?
His dad was a rancher and a deputy sheriff, and he moved there from, it was somewhere in Kansas. I can't remember exactly where it was, but they came over, the family came over here in the 17s. They went, or the 1600s, they went from Italy to England, and then from England to here to Sussex, Virginia, and then they kind of spread out from there, I guess.
Post-Civil War in Texas.
Yeah, they don't say Taliaferro, they say Tolliver. Is the correct way to pronounce it. But then you got to explain, well, where'd the O go? How come there's no V there? And so I just Taliaferro.
Taliaferro, okay. What about his mother's family? They'll get to Texas.
He met her, I think, when they were in Kansas, and her name was Lucy Wright. Okay. And I think that she was from somewhere in the South. I tried to look that up, but I couldn't.
Did you know your grandparents?
I hadn't met him, but I had met his second wife, Nora, who is really the one that raised all the kids. She's okay. The one that raised Tex. Yeah.
And siblings. Tex had brothers, sisters?
Yeah, he had 7 or 8 brothers or sisters that all stayed around the Panhandle area, and they all had kids that were doing something with ranching. One was a butcher. Some of them had race horses that they raced at Ruidoso, the quarter horse races. Yeah. And then his sister married a guy in the Panhandle that was a banker, and he had the only grain silo there, so he was pretty rich by the time that got done.
Sure.
He was the chairman of the bank. His youngest son was the commissioner of the board or whatever had, and the other son was the lawyer. So
it's not like the Taliaferros were connected.
Yeah, they were really well known in that area, and people liked them. I mean, they used to go out to dinner with people all the time.
Well, now tell us the story about how Tex got to the Northwest. For the love of a lady, I understand.
Yeah, Mom's dad was the postmaster just over in the Oklahoma side there. And his dad was going up looking for a land patent, and they didn't have it. He went back and they didn't have it. It went back and they didn't have it. And as he was going back, all the didn't have it's, the boys met the girls, and Dad met Mom there. And one time, the last time he went up, he said, "No, Mr. Taliaferro, he said, no, Mr. Tolliver, I don't have your land patent, but I've had this one like for 3 months for some guy named Taliaferro." So it's a good thing. It's probably a good thing that he didn't know the name, because I might not be here.
No, man, the Tex might not have got together. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Mom's uncle was head of the Department of Fisheries, and her dad ended up working at the one in the Ballard Locks over there.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if
we're in Washington now, Department of Fisheries. I was thinking Oklahoma, Texas.
No, they went to Nepal, which is now Moses Lake. and they lived on his ranch there for I think a year, and then they went over to Seattle because her dad wanted her closer, and Dad was a butcher, so he bought them a butcher shop.
Oh, okay.
And Tex would cut up the meat and in front of the people because he didn't want to have it cut up and setting out, and it was one of his service things. The problem is he got to going down to, as Mom said, the pool hall and spending all the time in the pool hall and not taking care of the business as much, leaving her there to do the business. And he came back one time and there was a note on the counter that said, "I moved back to Ellensburg. If you want me, that's where I'll be."
Were they married at that time or just dating?
See, they weren't married. They weren't married because they got married in 36 and that's when they moved here.
Okay.
So he
knew where his bread was buttered and got out of that pool hall.
Well, evidently, because right after that's when they got married. So
it's all falling in place.
Yeah, she came over. She came over here and worked at Emmons, Maxine and Keith Emmons' 5 and Dime store, which is where Mosier's is. And then she went, when Betty Driver got sick, she worked at Penny's, took over Betty's.
Okay.
Or maybe it was when Betty was having Steve. And then she went to work for the banks, and she kept working for the banks for years.
That's where she made most of her.
Yeah.
Career.
She finished out at the county treasurer's office, but yeah, most of the time she was working at Washington National Bank, and then that became National Bank of Washington. And
remind me where that is. It's down here at.
It's on
Fourth and Pearl. Or 4th and Pearl.
Yeah.
It's the one with the big mural.
Oh, it's right down here.
Yeah.
Right down here. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as the Taliaferros hit the Kittitas County, did they become involved with the Ellensburg Rodeo, or what?
I believe so. I think he was involved, probably started when he was over there in Moses Lake.
Oh, okay.
And some of the people that he knew in Moses Lake are honorary people that just started. They're on the committee. There's a list of in the archives that I have. People like Bill and Florence Sharon and Huck and Torb Minty. I don't know if you know those names, but these
are Moses Lake folks.
These are Moses. Well, Bill and Florence were from Wenatchee, and Huck and Torb were jewelers from Moses Lake.
And
Lori Smith reminded me not too long ago that Torb's name wasn't Torb, it was Torbor. So I say Torb because that's how.
And so before Tex and Thelma moved to the Kittitas Valley, he was a contestant at the Ellensburg Rodeo, or just was.
I don't know, but I think probably.
Yeah, that's one of the things we like to learn about the inductees is how far back their memories of the Ellensburg Rodeo go. When he was a young man in Texas, did any of the traveling guys come back and say, "Hey, we've been to the Ellensburg Rodeo"?
Oh, that I don't know, but he was roping at a young age because that's what they did on the ranch. They needed to do that for the ranch work.
Sure.
And he was always around ranches and horses, and he became a butcher, I think, just to kind of supplement the income. And then when he got up here, he ended up working for Shocky's for a real long time as a butcher, and then graduated into a buyer.
Okay. So he started on the kill floor with Shockey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was a kid and he started dragging me around with him, he'd take me down to Shocky's and set me on the kill floor, and he'd go out and do business. So I like 3 hours I sat in him watching them shoot those cows in the head and flop out and skin them and butcher them. So I got
be for that.
Yeah, so I got pretty used to that kind of stuff. It doesn't bother me too much if somebody's butchering a deer or a cow or a pig. So
no, it's I spent a little time at the end of the Shockey Pack industry, Washington Beef on the kill floor.
Yeah.
And it's an eye opener, sure enough. And when did beyond being a competitor, when did Tex become the iconic volunteer we think of at the Ellensburg Rodeo?
Well, I've got a buckle that I think I'm gonna give it to Nate tonight.
Oh, awesome.
And it says, it's got a bucking horse. It's been laying in a back desk of mine for 30 years. And it was silver and all tarnished, so I couldn't read it. So I polished it up. The top banner says Ellensburg Rodeo. Got the guy on a saddle bronc bucking, Tex Taliaferro, and then underneath that it says Director 1948.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he was at least the director then, but he won a roping championship before that.
Okay.
So I'm thinking probably that's about the time he started doing the rodeo board.
So post World War II.
Yeah, he was. He got lucky, if you want to call it that, in the war because he was a butcher, and Shockey had the contract for the military for the beef. So he was cutting beef for the military and didn't have to go.
So he
didn't have to pack a gun.
Got it. Was he enlisted or was he a member of the military?
No.
He had an exemption because of
the, I don't know if it was the exemption, but because they were doing the meat for the military.
Sure. Is Tex a founding member of the Kittitas County Roping Club? Do you?
I don't know.
It seems to me if he wasn't, he was right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept a couple buckles. The one I'm wearing is, it says Ellensburg 1955 team roping. And I've looked in all the books in history here and I can't find it. And Mike said they didn't even have the team roping in 55. So that had to be a roping club deal.
Must have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Or team tying maybe.
Or it might have been like an introductory event that wasn't sanctioned by the PRCA.
Sure. But Tex's primary event was calf roping, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When do you first remember the Ellensburg Rodeo?
Boy, I don't know. I was pretty little. I remember when he took me out there and introduced me to Alan Aronica after he finished dancing.
Oh, okay.
Alan was a year ahead of me in high school. I remember me and Mike Allen, humbling story here. Me and Mike Allen were doing something. We're just little kids, and Tex had told me, well, go to the skywalk and they'll let you in. Just tell them who you are and they'll let you in. So, hi, I'm Kit Taliaferro. Tex is my dad. He said we could get in. The guy says, I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. So Mike and I are stuck, and he says, my dad's Stu Allen. He says, oh, Stu Allen, come on in.
He had the ice cream shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. I want to ask this question in a respectful and tactful way, but was Texas stern at home as he seemed to a young kid in the rodeo arena?
I don't think so, but we did get to the point where if I was messing up, he would take off his belt and loop it around his thumbs, and that was enough.
That was the signal.
Yeah.
So you answered my question. Yeah, yeah. And that was the feel you got. Again, I have memories of Tex as a child, when I was a child, and frightened to death of him. And he had that patented cigarette, and he'd if you weren't, it was pretty cool to get one to go on the arena floor and watch the roping. But if you didn't have your tat and Western attire, or you weren't in the right spot, he'd just give you that look, kind of like the snap of the belt.
Yeah.
And
I heard that a couple times. Mike Allen and Dennis Emmons and I would crawl underneath the covered stands that are on the west side, and there used to be a hole about that big, and you could crawl underneath there, and they had all these kids poking their heads out there, and we got out there and sat, and he finally told me, you know, you can't do that anymore. And a bull had come along, and I tried to jump up and pull myself up, and I missed. And if that bull would have been any closer, I probably wouldn't be giving this or doing this interview.
Well, I want to end that part of our conversation with the comment that his bark was much worse than his bite. I came to know him as a generous, kind, friendly person.
Yeah.
But first impressions, I thought, holy cow.
I was talking to Sam Kaiser last night at the meet and greet, and he said, Tex always treated me really well. And I think that was the way it was with all the people that he knew. Doug and Steve Driver, Pam and Nancy,
Sure.
Joel and Lori.
Yeah.
And others.
Yeah.
I think he genuinely liked all the kids, because he's doing something with their folks.
Well, and I learned through Mike's article about his involvement in youth activities, I think 4-H and a number of things that I didn't realize.
Yeah, he'd buy, I don't know if you know Ron Fry, but he would be the guy that would buy their steers for the 4-H every year.
Okay.
And then he was one of the buyers. He would buy for Shockey and the Highway Grill.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of that stuff with kids, and he did a lot with roping, you know, telling if there was something they could improve a technique that would just, you know, be that much faster, that could be some money.
Sure, absolutely.
You know, and there was some that didn't like him meddling their roping stuff, and they didn't want to know it, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, sometime later they'd come back and say, no, what were you saying about that pig and string?
Yeah, let's try that. Yeah. Well, I don't remember who it was, but someone asked about the Highway Grill. And I was sharing that I was going to interview you and Tex. And do you remember Tex at the Highway Grill? And I said, how could you not? I said, and what struck me, and you know this, but many of the folks at home probably don't, but the Highway Grill was, it wasn't just a cowboy joint or a banker joint I have vivid memories of Tex in his booth, and then the next booth down, Dave Thomas Sr. dressed to the gills in his bright cardigan and businessman clothes, and Alan Faltus, and just go down the line.
Tex had a key to the back door.
Okay.
And he'd get down there like about 5 o'clock, come in the back door when nobody was there, and put on coffee for the waitresses. And then we'd go over and sit at the booth, and they'd come in and have their coffee and get their tables and silverware and stuff straightened around. They'd say, Tex, open her up. He'd go open up, and there'd be 3 or 4 guys out there to sit in that first booth, and they'd start talking about cattle prices and who got the new horse and who's got the fancy truck. And,
Sure. The business was done.
Yeah.
Huh. Remind me the 2 ladies that ran the Highway Grill for so long.
One was Betty Hanks, and she was the owner. And I don't know the other one. I know Mrs. Whipple, Tony's mom, worked up there. Okay. And a couple, Joanne, I know her last name, but I can't think of it. Well, maybe I don't know if I can't think of it.
This is a question we like to ask inductees, and you can't ask Tex, of course, but the changes he saw in the Ellensburg Rodeo, and in continuation, the changes you've seen in the Ellensburg Rodeo.
I don't know, probably he's the same changes I've seen. Less Indians riding down the hill.
Okay, sure.
The track's gone, because I used to like the flat track, but I think that ended when they put in the Gold Buckle Club, because it took out more of that view of the track.
Okay.
Because you got on the back side of the announcer stand and you couldn't see anything anyway.
Sure.
You had to wait till he had come around and
That was
like
part of
they're-
the suspense, though.
well, the good part was they'd come running around that corner hot and then try to trade horses or take the saddle off and saddle another one, and you almost had a rodeo
Within the road.
was in the ring. Yeah, but when they took out that track, they took out the flat races and the cow cutting, which I enjoyed because they had cow cutting there. And I remember, of course, Warthogs on Bosky Boy and Truman Weininger on Jaggy Page and Tex on Skip.
Well, I understand. Yeah, and that was part of Tex's story. I didn't know he was had a nice cutting horse, Skip.
Oh, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
They used to have parties out at John and Francis Berkheimer's,
Okay.
and they'd invite these people over from the coast that hadn't really been on ranches, and they'd take them out to cow cutting, and the people that really wanted to be on there but weren't obnoxious or something, they'd put it on kind of a doggy horse that'd
Okay.
do that. But there's always somebody that we know where this is going.
Yeah.
I can do that. That's not so hard. And they'd stick him on one of the really good horses, and it would be and they'd be off. Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe it. I can believe it. Name some of Tex's contemporaries in terms of the professional cowboys that you remember. We can go back into the archives.
The professionals or the county guys?
Well, let's both.
Both.
Yeah.
Deb and Jeff Devers, D. Pickett.
Okay. Sure.
Professional wise, would be some of the ropers like Jack and Steve Wallace and Sam Kaiser, Wayne McMeans.
Okay. Yeah. Strong local names.
Yeah.
Dean Oliver probably on the pro side.
Yeah. He was in there. Just about everybody came to Ellensburg because it was a money deal,
Go
and
down the list.
they'd do 2 or 3 rodeos at a time. They'd have one guy drive up here with a horse, and then they'd do this, and then they'd fly down to somewhere in Oregon in the plane, and the other guy would have his horse down there, and there'd be 3 guys flying,
Sure.
and they'd compete, and then they'd fly somewhere else. So they'd get in like 3 rodeos in a weekend.
Yeah.
That's why they'd have some of the turnouts like in the bucking horses and the bulls at the end, because they'd make money down there and they have to be in the finals.
Well, and that continues today, even at
Yeah.
our more stringent level. If we could ask Tex what some of his favorite memories of the Ellensburg Rodeo were, what do you think he'd say, Ken?
I'd say just about anything with roping, but he was also, I think they enjoyed chaperoning for the Royal Court. And I think he enjoyed doing stuff with Wranglerettes.
Okay.
And I remember him taking some of the Royal Court and having them run in front of the grandstands and him showing them how to do that.
I bet that was
That wave, he didn't want them going.
No, do it again.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
I can't do it right, but
No. Oh.
and different changes and stuff, and just the competing. He liked to compete.
Yeah, you could sense that.
Yeah. And helping younger guys with their techniques, I think, was something.
Well, as you were sharing some of those memories, it seems like it all goes back to that. It is helping young people, whether it's the queens or the Wranglerettes. Those young ladies were just learning to ride and be around horses.
Yeah.
And then.
And I wasn't around that much. Nobody's going to remember me from being around hardly anything around the rodeo. I was
Just a personal choice. Wasn't your cup of tea?
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, not till later.
Sure.
But in junior high school and high school, Don Whiting was the electrician that put on all the speakers and did all the electrics.
Yeah.
And he would have me go up there starting on Wednesday, and sleep in the control room so nobody would steal the equipment. And I was sleeping in there one time, and I heard this knock on the door, and I said, "Get the hell out of here! What are you doing?" I thought I'd scare him, and it was a security guy. So he says, "This security, open the door." So I open the door, and you know, he doesn't have his gun out, but he's got his hand there. And I told him what I was doing, and then I think 1 or 2 years after that, they had the security guys going around and checking more.
Yeah, they wouldn't need you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do you think your dad would like to have us share?
I think just that he had a lot of really good friends through the years, and if he needed something, he could ask them and they would help. And if they asked him to do something at all possible, he could. One of the first things I remember, besides McRae and his vet shop that was down below the Y,
Sure. Yeah.
the Y Cafe, if you remember where that was.
Well,
But it's part of McDonald's parking lot now. But they used to come and make a Y there, and they had a cafe right at that.
my dad and Jerry Anderson bought the property just east of the Y Grill and built Corseman Supply.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I sure do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a common thread among the Ellensburg rodeo community, and that is community. And you just pointed it out with Tex. It was about the people and the relationships that he developed over time as being part of the Ellensburg rodeo. It sounds like it'd be a strong memory of his.
And he liked talking to all the other competitors and stuff. It didn't really matter if they were a bull rider. And I remember Slim Pickens.
Okay. Yeah.
That's two of my memories was Slim Pickens and trick riding family, Zopi Zapatas. Why I remember that, I don't know, but I remember I remember doing the trick riding, and I remember that Slim had a horse that was. It wasn't a. I don't think it was an Appaloosa. It might have been. I think it was a paint, maybe a Pinto. But anyway, that horse could buck on command, and that was one of his deals. And so he knew when it was going to buck, so he'd be able to stay on it. But I mean, that thing would get up there, and that's one of the things that propelled him into movies, I think.
Was that apt?
Well, yeah, and he wore buckskins with the the tassels hanging down and a coonskin cap.
Sure.
He had that whole thing. Pretty entertaining. And of course, he was a clown. He was a rodeo clown.
Yeah, I think we inducted him a few years ago, and that was a fun story to learn about. Of course, I wasn't around when he was performing at the Ellensburg Rodeo, but I remember him in movies and television.
Yeah, they got a picture in the archives of me on my Shetland pony in front of him during the parade, and he's sitting there on that horse, and me and my horse look like midgets.
Well, he's a big man.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah. Ken, what will you offer for a closing statement? What would you like to share about the Ellensburg Rodeo and Texas experiences with it?
Just that he liked it, and he liked doing the grunt work, the stuff that working with the cattle and horses that people don't usually see, the behind the scenes stuff. I would like to say something personal if I could, and that's if you think you want to support the rodeo, wear pink on the Too Tough to Wear Pink Day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gretchen Willer Foundation, and Tex died of lung cancer. And Thelma was a 30-year survivor. So if you don't want to give money and you want to support the rodeo, that's
absolutely
the way to do it.
Well, and the Ellensburg Rodeo was one of the Sonia Mitchell and gosh darn, I'm embarrassed I don't remember the person that helped her, but founded Tough Enough to Wear Pink, really.
Yeah. Lori Smith was pretty big in getting it started here.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Ken, thanks for your time. It's a treat.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.